Not bad. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while since my last video, but today I just wanted to go through the foods that I eat in order to maintain or lose weight. I usually have about 4 meals a day, and I do snack in between on fruits and vegetables and other things like that. But since I'm not training right now, all the gyms are closed, I just wanted to show how I am eating, and whether or not I'm trying to gain weight or lose weight. I typically do eat the same foods, just more or less depending on my goal. But I always do aim for about 240 grams of protein a day, no matter what. And I'm gonna go through my 4 meals I have. I do also want to mention that I fast until 12 or 1 in the afternoon because I like pushing my foods later on in the day in order to avoid snacking later more in the day, because I feel like if you push your foods later on in the day, then you will end up eating less. So when I wake up, I usually have black coffee. I don't have anything in it, because during that fasting process, you don't want to be taking in any calories, anything that will spike your insulin. And you want to avoid any sugars, any carbohydrates, fats, anything like that until you're ready to have your first meal. So I want to start with overnight oats. I usually have this about, like I said, around 12 to 1 in the afternoon. And I have a protein shaker. I have some almond milk. I like using almond milk because it is lower in calories than regular milk. It's also a little bit healthier for you. And the syrup that I use for this is a low calorie syrup. As you can see, it only has 30 calories and 7 grams of sugar for 45 ml. And if you look at regular syrup, it's usually got about, I want to say, 3 to 4 times the amount of calories for the same amount. So how I start doing this is I take regular quick oats. This is a new package. And I will measure out about 1/3 of a cup. It's a little bit too much actually. So anywhere from 1/3 to half of a cup. And like I said, if I'm trying to gain weight, I will simply just have more oats. So I pour that in, take my banana, and I use the whole thing. You also want to break it apart when you put it in, because it's going to have to blend in with the oats and everything else that's in here. After I break this apart, I will take a fork and I will make sure I mash it up so it is almost like similar to a paste. So this does take a little bit of time sometimes, but as soon as you get to a kind of a paste-like consistency, that's perfect. So that's that. Next thing I'm going to want to do is, of course, shake this up a bit. And I just take a big spoon and I'll pour 3 spoons in. After that, just some organic peanut butter. You're going to want to do just about 15 to 20 grams. All right. Then, these are just black chia seeds. I like to just put about 1 tablespoon. You don't need very much. It's just for some extra fiber. I spilled some there, oops. Because I find if you have more fiber, it's gonna decrease your appetite, because your body is able to digest a little bit slower, and you end up being less hungry after each meal. Then finally, for the ingredients, I take 2 scoops of whey protein. And then you put the liquid, which is the almond milk. Now you have to figure out kind of how much to put based on how much ingredients you use, but just shake this up, make sure it's all together. And you have to put this in the fridge for at least 4 hours before you eat it. If you try to drink it right away, it won't be so blended and won't be so good. So this just goes in the fridge. Typically I make it the night before, and then I bring it to work or have it in the morning, or have it in the afternoon, sorry, when I get to work. And at that point it's ready.
Do you drink it out of the shaker, Jack?
Yeah, I just drink it right out of the shaker. That's why I put it in there, so it's a lot easier.
What does the consistency feel like? Is it like a thick smoothie?
It should be kind of similar to like a smoothie. Like a smoothie that you make with ice or something, because the oats will kind of thicken it up as well as the seeds. I also like having with that shake the second smoothie, you could say. I take a handful of kale into the blender. This is just baby kale. And then a handful of baby spinach. That goes in here. And just some water. You don't need very much. Just a bit. This usually gets made in the morning. So it'll take a while to blend, so you might have to cut that a bit. So after that's blended, you just take some frozen blueberries, frozen fruit, whatever you want to put in it. I usually add blueberries and frozen fruit. You don't need much, because this kind of stuff is not cheap. That goes in there. Alright. And just pour it in your cup. Always the perfect amount. I've been doing it for so long. Okay. And then these two are your breakfast. So that's breakfast. Simple as that. You bring it with you. It's quick. You have everything ready. You don't have to worry about cooking eggs. You don't have to worry about doing anything. There's at least 70 grams of protein in these two things total. You have the nutrients from the vegetables, and you have all your protein, your fats, and your carbs from this. So that will definitely, you'll be full for at least 4 hours after drinking this. I guarantee you. It should be around, I want to say 700 to 800 calories in total for these two things. So that's meal one after fasting. And let's cook our next meals. So since you might be getting hungry through the day, it's important to have a healthy snacks that you can be eating instead of grabbing junk or unhealthy foods. So what I usually go for is low calorie, high volume. I like things like fruits, I like vegetables, and something crunchy like rice cakes. These are the butter popcorn ones. It has a little bit of flavor, it's a little bit different, but per one rice cake, it's only 35 calories. So I have maybe one or two of these. I also do eat a lot of grapes. And my favorite thing right now is dates. I love dates. Now, keep in mind, dates do have a lot of sugar, but it's not the same kind of sugar like you would find in like candy. It's not granulated sugar. That's what a date looks like. I'm sure you guys all know. These are bigger ones. They're organic. You don't want to have too much. You want to have them in moderation. I usually have max 4 per day. If they're bigger, you only want to have 3, because that is about 30 grams of sugar. But it does help keep your mind off having something sweet that is unhealthy. You can have dates instead. I have 1 or 2 apples. This is just a mango that I've been eating. So I like mangoes, apples. I love pickles. I will have maybe a few of those throughout the day as well. And I like having pickles with other meals. And finally, carrots. These are some simple things I like to eat. I'm sure you guys know a lot of other foods that you guys might prefer to these. But for me, these are my favorites. And these are what prevent me from eating things like chips and candy and other sweets like that. So now I'll show you the rest of my meals.
I have a question, Jack. Do you primarily eat these to make you more fill you up, basically?
Yeah, they do fill me up, and also there's times during the day where I am hungry in between meals, so I will have these just to help get me to that next meal without having to have it sooner or just grabbing something else that's worse. And I find that if you have substitutes for things that you like, if you have a sweet tooth and you want something that is sweet like ice cream, just have a couple dates and you won't have that feeling anymore. I find that if I see the ice cream in the fridge, I'm going to eat it, and I say, you know what, I will just have some dates instead. And that really helps me. Grapes are even better because I can have like 20 grapes and it's barely any calories. You know, carrots, these are all healthy things that you can be eating. And it's all helping you get towards your goals, and you won't be binging as much. It's way better to be binging on fruit, and I've done it before, where I've like had a whole thing of grapes or, you know, a whole thing of carrots, like a few apples all in one sitting. And that's not the biggest deal. It's all natural and healthy sugars. Just keep in mind that calories in, calories out, obviously, these all transfer at the end of the day to your total. So if you can only eat 2,500 calories a day and that's your maintenance, and you're eating like thousands and thousands of calories of just fruit, you will gain weight. That's just how it is. Now, fruit is healthy, but everything in moderation. Calories in, calories out. You have to be moving more than you're burning. Or sorry, you have to be burning more than you're eating, of course. We all know this. So, yeah, I'm gonna show you my next meals. Okay, so before I start making this, I just want to remind you guys, it's really important to be building healthy eating habits, because it's going to get to a certain point after you've been doing it for so long where it's the only thing you know how to do. You're going to feel it's like going and just eating for the sake of eating, or going and getting something quick because it's convenient, is not part of your lifestyle. It's not part of your lifestyle because this is not part of your lifestyle. Eating healthy every day, you're going to find that it's the only thing you know how to do, and there's nothing else that can provide this kind of nutrients and can provide this kind of sense of, I know what I'm doing, and I feel like if I'm eating these bad things constantly, it's not going to do anything good for me. It's just not necessary. So this is riced veggies. I like using riced veggies because it's very low in net carbs. This is actually cauliflower rice. Keep in mind that these are quite expensive, so this will probably be the most expensive thing that you have to buy for this, because this little package is about $2 or $3.99. But I take the whole package, and if I turn on my grill here, this one as well, I'm going to pour my whole package of rice vegetables into that pan. Next thing I'm going to add is going to be mixed vegetables. I like using veggies in my foods as sort of like a filler, because it adds a lot of volume, as you can see, but like, how many calories is this realistically? Maybe like 100, 150 maximum. There is a lot of corn, which does have, of course, carbohydrates, but it's going to be filling a lot of your stomach up, and it's going to feel like you have eaten more than you really have. So while that's cooking in there on a very low heat, the lowest setting, because we have something else to do that's going to take a while as well. So right here I have an onion. I'm just going to start by cutting it. I mean, I'm not the best at No Gordon Ramsay or nothing, but
Don't put yourself down, Jack. Don't underestimate yourself.
my cutting abilities are unmatched. Okay, so then just cutting up an onion. Just to go back on what I was saying before about how the healthy eating habits are going to be, once again, like the only thing that you know how to do. I don't mean this like that's all you know. It's just going to be like you don't want to be eating any way else. And it's important to be cooking in the ways that you like to be cooking and eating the foods that you like to eat. Because for the longest time, I was eating plain rice, plain chicken, plain this, plain that, and not really experimenting with my food, just kind of eating what I knew and not really taking chances and trying new things. And it's important to try new things and incorporate lots of ingredients that you like into your foods in order so every time you eat, you get excited. You're like, wow, I cooked this. You know, this is really good and it's healthy. That's the kind of feeling that you want to be having each time you cook a meal or eat one of the meals that you cooked.
Probably decreases diet fatigue.
Yeah, it's good to switch things up over and over because you will get sick and tired of the same stuff. Like, for example, I ate, oats and tilapia every single day for like 2 years straight. And there was a point where I could not stomach that. I would actually throw up after eating the boiled tilapia. I wouldn't even use oil. I would just use water and boil it. I also have some mushrooms here as well. I like mushrooms. So I'm gonna cut these up and add them in with my turkey. And instead of using butter, this is duck fat, rendered duck fat. I find that it has a lot better of a taste than just butter. And it's a lot more omegas. It's a lot healthier for you. So you don't need very much. But that will go in your pan. This is the turkey that I use. It's just extra lean ground turkey. Alright. So you're just going to want to brown your onions and your mushrooms. Let them simmer on a medium heat for maybe 5 minutes, just until they start to brown. And then after that, we're going to add our turkey. Alright, so now I'm just going to take my turkey, add it to the pan now that everything has browned and cooked, the onions. Okay. Just take your thing and break it up. Now, like I said before, it's important to cook the food your favorite way, how you like it. Now, there's a million ways to cook ground turkey. It's just the protein base, that's all it is. Sometimes what I like to do is I actually like to add chicken breast, pre-cooked, like already cooked into this, to add even more protein. But not today, because we're going to be having chicken at a separate meal. So once that's in there, another thing I like to do is I like to take one large egg, and just add it in. Helps enhance the taste and keep everything to stick together. Just mix that in. Another thing I like to add to this is sour cream. Except I forgot actually to buy sour cream, so just around like 45 ml, maybe a few tablespoons is good. Just helps increase the flavor. Now I'm going to add some garlic. I actually have the chopped garlic. It saves me a lot of time. I used to chop everything. This way is so much simpler. Just adds a nice flavor.
I think if I had your diet, I'd be shredded, bro.
I mean, yeah, bro, because I'm getting more shredded and I'm not even working out.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Seriously, I lost like 20 pounds in the past, I want to say, what, like 4 weeks?
Mm-hmm.
When was the last time we trained?
Yeah, around 4 weeks. You're right.
4 weeks? I feel like it's longer than that.
I heard you're a TikToker now. What's your TikTok username?
J Leonidovich 98.
I'll put that on the screen.
Except I don't actually upload many, but I should start doing that more.
Oh man, now if the viewers demand it, who's gonna upload it?
The viewers love that one video I put with the showing the forearm vein, man. That got like almost.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that got like 750,000 views, like 750,000 views.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was funny, man. I was like, why do people want to see this shit? This is so weird. It's funny though. So, another thing I like to add, these are just beets. I pretty much put beets in everything. They add a really nice sweet flavor. And they can go on chicken, they can go on this turkey, make like some borscht chicken or something. It's important to squeeze all the red juice out because it'll get everywhere. You don't want to get this on your clothes, it'll stain everything. Alright.
How much did you put in?
Just as much as you want. I usually put, I don't know, maybe a cup or two.
Aren't beets supposed to be sweet?
They are.
Oh, okay.
They are sweet. And they add a really nice sweet flavor. It adds a really nice, beautiful red color too. So those can just cook like that. Now I just take some pepper, add some of that in, and some salt. I use pink Himalayan salt. Don't need much. There is one more spice I like to add, but I add it near the end because it's one of those spices, you know, that's like heat sensitive. You don't want to cook the whole dish with it because it eliminates most of the flavor. This is just dill weed, but I'm gonna add that right before I transfer it into here. So now it's done. I just flipped it into the veggies and the rice. And you can add any barbecue sauce or hot sauce that you want. I'm just gonna add a tiny bit. And what this is good for is, obviously there's a lot here. This is not one meal. I break this in half. I go right down the middle and I'll put it in two different separate Tupperware containers and have it as meal 2 and meal 3. So yeah, in total, I want to say each one is about 500 to 600 calories. So in total, maybe 1100 to 1200. Could be around 1,000. Shouldn't be much more than that though, depending on what you add. But it's mostly just veggies. You know, you have the cauliflower rice, you have the mixed vegetables, the turkey, the beets, the onions, the mushrooms, the garlic, and of course the spices. But that's all you really need for this. All right, so now let's move on to our next meal. Wanna try some, bro? Give it a try. So now this is my fourth meal, my final meal of the day. I'm gonna start actually by showing you guys what the carb source is. I love sweet potato fries. These are just Alexia sweet potato fries. And I will take my scale, because since it is carbs, I'm a lot more stricter with it. And I'll put my little air fryer thing on it. And I will just simply weigh 250 grams. And that's perfect for me. That's what it looks like. And I love having an air fryer because it makes things very simple for me. All I do is put it in, set the timer for almost 15 minutes, and in 5 minutes I take it out, kind of stir things around, put it back in. 5 minutes later, do the same thing. I don't put any oil, I don't put any salt, I just put them in there like that and they come out crispy and perfect. So this meal is going to be chicken and sweet potatoes. So let's start once again with an onion. Here's my chicken breast. If I can figure out. There we go. Once again, duck fat.
Next best thing to duck eggs. Duck fat.
It's actually a little bit too much, so let's get rid of some. There we go. Close as you can get to duck eggs. 1, 2. We're gonna let those sit. I'm gonna show you guys a technique that I learned that really enhances the taste of chicken. Because sometimes, as you guys know, chicken is very dry, or it can be very dry if you don't cook it correctly. So I'm going to show you the method that I use to make it crispy on the outside, but still perfect on the inside. Alright, just going to chop some more mushrooms. So, this chicken, all you want to do is check it periodically till it browns and crisps on one side, but it's going to still be raw in the center. Of course, when it's brown and crisp on one side, you just flip it and leave it on the other side for about 2 to 4 minutes. And this is going to be on a high heat because you're searing it. You want to sear the chicken to keep the juice on the inside, but it should be seared on the outside.
When do you put the onions and mushrooms in?
The onions and mushrooms go in after you flip it on the second side and leave it for 2 to 3 minutes. After both sides are brown, that's when we add the onions. Because you're going to see what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to take these tongs and these scissors and I'm going to start cutting up the chicken. But before I do that, that's when I start adding the mushrooms and the onions because I don't want them to burn. I don't want to add them too early. You kind of have to time it a little bit.
Jack, be honest. Have you ever cooked for someone on a first date?
Oh yeah.
Yeah? I believe it. I just had a spoonful of that last meal you made.
Yeah, you really like that.
Yeah, I love it,
I was
bro.
surprised. That was a good reaction.
Yeah.
Just this one here, man. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The beets, man. Like that was
lovely.
the beets are a good call. I never knew about that trick.
Yeah, man.
Amazing.
I'm telling you, they add this nice sweetness and they change the whole everything.
Yeah.
It's a very European style dish, but I love it. So as you can see, my one side of the chicken has been browned. Just like that. I want to leave that in there and let that cook for another little bit. Alright. Look back on that. That's what I want to see. So that's perfect. So now, I'm going to add all of my onions and mushrooms. And turn down my heat slightly. Make sure these don't get burned. Yeah. I was trying to figure out if I was right or left-handed for a second. Okay, so now you want to cut up your chicken into small pieces with your scissors. And as you can see, it's still raw in the center. That's fine. That's important to see. You don't want to cook it through before you do this. Alright, so the chicken is cooked. And now I'm just going to add my fries. And that's my final meal right there. Sweet potato fries for carbs, chicken, protein, everything's taken care of. And this is my favorite meal of the day too. This is amazing. I love this. Super tasty. Alright. So, those are the 4 meals I have every day. And obviously if I want to gain weight or lose weight, I just adjust the amounts. For example, even in this meal, chicken stays the same because that's the protein, but I just add more potatoes. Same with the other ones. If I wanted to have more calories in that turkey meal, I just switch the cauliflower rice out with potatoes or regular rice. Now if you play around with the volumes and adjust the ingredients a bit, you can get varying results in your physique. You just need to adjust the calories. Think of it as calories in, calories out. I'm having the lowest possible calories by gravitating towards things that typically have less calories. Like I'm using a lot of veggies to fill a lot of my meals, and I'm snacking throughout the day on them as well. But those are my 4 meals that I eat. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I hope you guys got some inspiration for cooking your own meals, and I hope you learned something as well. So just message me if you have any questions. If you want to see more videos on some other meals I used to cook in the past, some other diets I used to follow, and of course when I'm bulking, the meals that I eat during that period, I can show you guys those as well. So just let me know your feedback. I hope you enjoyed, and I'm going to eat this now, and yeah, I'm going to enjoy myself. Take care, guys.